I would have bought Bitcoin at 1 cent or at €1. The rest of the things, all the mistakes that I've done as a founder, I would redo them the same. They are what I am right now, and I am grateful for all those mistakes and for all those failures, no matter how hard they have been. Every one of them has been a teaching moment.
Welcome to Startuprad.io, your podcast and YouTube blog covering the German startup scene with news, interviews, and live events.
Hello and welcome everybody. This is Joe from Startuprad.io, the authority on German, Swiss and Austrian startups. And today we've got a powerhouse episode for founders, SaaS builders and tech investors alike. What if the next breakout SaaS company for accounting firms came from the back office of a bookkeeping firm in Switzerland? We're sitting down with Blas. By the way, he spared me pronouncing his family name, a serial entrepreneur who bootstrapped his first company at just 18, made a few successful exits, learned from failure, and is now scaling Sequence, a B2B SaaS platform turning heads across Europe. Sequence started as internal accounting software, evolved into robust AI-enabled ERP system for small companies, and recently caught the attention of several major investors in Switzerland. In this episode, you'll hear how Blas turned a back office tool into a venture-backed scale-up, what it takes to build SaaS products with product market fit in a conservative industry, his most painful lessons on entrepreneurship, failure and bouncing back, and the playbook for scaling from Spain to Switzerland to global relevance. If you're a founder, VC, accounting tech innovator, or just love stories about building software that actually solves boring but critical problems, this one is for you. Guys, don't forget to subscribe, and Blas, welcome.
Hi, Joe. Very happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Totally my pleasure. For our audience, can you first once pronounce your family name?
Yes, I'll go ahead. It's Pegenaute. It's a Spanish name. Not easy to say, Pegenaute.
Yeah. Okay. Muchas gracias. You saved me from pronouncing that.
Gracias, Joe. Yeah, I know. It's a hard one. In French, they say Pegenaute. So, I kind of have both versions there going for me.
Yes, especially since you have three languages in Switzerland. I think that the French-speaking area would prefer that one. Talking about you, founder journey and origin story. You started your first company at 18. What sparked your interest in entrepreneurship?
Listen, Joe, I've always been that way. I started really working when I was very young. I started in the night industry. I started creating parties when I was 16 years old. I couldn't go to the nightclub and I was already organizing stuff. So that was a pretty fun moment for me. And I've always wanted to do things in a very particular and peculiar way, which was my own way. And at 18, I found that artists, namely electronic music artists, were very good at creating music, but very bad at telling themselves. And I was very good at sales and very bad at creating music. So I created my first company called Fresh and Blunt, and it started like an artist management agency. We were taking local artists and giving them national or international exposure. And then we started organizing festivals and helping running a couple of clubs.
Let me understand this step from doing parties, electronic music to an internal accounting tool. How did that happen?
Yeah. It's been a fun ride, to be honest. So I started managing, as I said, artists and electronic music parties. Then I moved out of Spain into the UK. I kept in working on the night industry, and at some point I hit a wall. I couldn't do really what I wanted to do into the industry, and I went into plain hospitality. I started managing a cocktail bar and a restaurant, and then from there I got scouted by a Chinese company to introduce in Spain and Portugal electronic cigarettes. I'm talking, early 2010s, where there were no E6 anywhere. So actually, if you vaped in Spain in between 2010 and 2012, there's a big percentage of chances that I did that import and that distribution. And then from there, I got recruited by a Swiss entrepreneur who wanted to build a startup on electronic cigarettes. And that's who brought me here to Switzerland. All around these years, I've always faced the same issues. Admin and accounting, it's a pain for every single entrepreneur out there, myself the first. So when I came into Switzerland, I faced the hard truth of the Swiss market. It's a fantastic market, but everything is very open-minded, and in accounting as well. So there's no real structure. Everyone can do it in a different way. You obviously need to be compliant, but to get to compliant, you can do it different ways. So I was struggling a lot, and that company got acquired, and that was great. But at some point in 2021, a very good friend of mine, he showed me this accounting software that he was building, and I was like, hold on a minute. This is exactly what I've been looking for my whole career as an entrepreneur. Let's take this stuff from an accounting software and building on an automated and AI accounting software for SMEs. So that's the whole trajectory up until accounting.
Before we go into the next questions, you ran a bar. What was your favorite cocktail?
Oh, wow. I used to love Ponza Martini. If I don't mind that the bartender looks weird at me, a good old fashioned. It takes a little bit of time to make. So when you go to a cocktail bar and you ask for an old fashioned, the guy's not gonna like you very much because they need to stir it for a long time. And I'm a whiskey lover. But yeah, I even got a certification to make cocktails. I don't know them anymore, but I knew how to make 120 something cocktails. It was pretty fun. Joe. What is your favorite cocktail, Joe?
I like Planters Punch.
Nice. When was the last time that you drank a good Planters Punch, and where?
Last weekend here in the balcony with my wife.
Oh, fantastic. What was the name of the place? Let's give them a shout out.
No, here, just on our balcony.
You made it?
Yes.
You are a master. That's great. So you know your way around cocktails.
Maybe.
Fantastic. I hope we can meet one day and I can test your Planters Punch. I will make you an amaretto sour that you may like as well.
I also like Negroni.
Oh yeah, Negroni, very nice. Next time you go and ask for a Negroni, check a Negroni Sbagliato. So it's a regular Negroni, but it has a top of soda, a little bit of sparkling wine like Prosecco, So it's a Negroni with a little bit of Prosecco. Try it out. Very nice. Negroni Sbagliato.
I also do have my personal recipe on this, but that would lead a little bit too much astray. I was originally trying to ask you, you've been working with the back office accounting software. What was like the aha moment that convinced you could really scale this?
Listen, the first one was very much internal. It's when Jonathan, the real founder of Sequence, showed me what he was building. When he showed it to me, I was the first aha. Like, I've been looking for this my whole life. I've been looking for a software that can allow me to automate my accounting. So that was the first aha moment. Then when we reworked that internal tool into an external SaaS and we went into the market's aha moment was when a client of ours, one of the first clients, his payment on the card didn't go through. And the guy was calling me on a Sunday saying, please reactivate the software. I cannot believe without Sequence. I need to do the invoices. I need to get back the subscription. And that was when we said, hey, maybe we got into something that really is helping SMEs and freelancers out there to do their invoicing and accounting much easier.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I see. I was wondering for our audience, what's one thing you wish you had known when starting your business? Share your wisdom in the comments. We might feature you in a future episode. Talking about transition and resilience here, you've had exits and setbacks. Tell us about the failure that changed your approach.
Any failure, any point in my career?
One that had special importance for you.
Yeah. So my first company, okay, Fresh and Blunt, I had to shut it down in 48 hours, very abruptly, because I was very bad at selling an event that I didn't follow up correctly with the owner of the nightclub that I was selling that to. And he was so powerful, and he gave me a call and he said, "You did such a bad job that you're not going to be able to work in here anymore." And I couldn't believe it. And 48 hours later, all my artists had to leave the agency, otherwise they couldn't be playing music anymore in the north of Spain. And that taught me a lot about facing conflict and issues. I was running away from saying to this guy that I couldn't deliver on the talks that we were having. And because I didn't do that, by the time I did it, he took it so badly and he was right, that tanked my company. That absolutely tanked my company. Yeah. So that was a big one. Yeah.
I see. Even though many are usually doing over promising and under deliver, but for some it just doesn't work out. How did your relocation to Switzerland shape your mindset as a founder? And by the way, do you already love fondue?
I love fondue. Swiss are gonna kill me, but my favorite fondue is tomato fondue. I know Swiss are there. Are absolutely gonna kill me right now because they hate it, but I love it because for me it's like drinking pizza, and pizza is one of my favorite.
Drinking pizza.
It's like drinking pizza, man. It's fantastic. So coming to Switzerland was a very big change for me. I was coming from pure high pace environments and countries. I was living, at the time I went from London to living half in Marbella, half in France, traveling all over the place. And I arrived into Switzerland, sorry. And it was so calm and peaceful, and everybody was so respectful. I really, really, really liked it a lot. I know a lot of people, they don't. They say it's too slow for them. For me, it's a great balance because it allows me to be calm when I'm in Switzerland and high pace when I'm outside. As a founder, the mentality of the market is much different than anywhere in Europe that I've been doing business before. It's a very conservative market, a very risk adverse market. If you want to raise funds in here and you're not in biotech, good luck to you. That has changed a little bit in the last 12 months, thanks to AI and the hubs that they're doing in Zurich, and thanks to crypto in the crypto valley in Neuchâtel. And I get that. But historically, it has been a little bit complex to raise funds in here. So it made me a founder more based on facts with a little bit of storytelling. Always storytelling is always important to do storytelling, but you cannot bullshit your way around Switzerland if there's no facts and that there are no unit economics back in your business, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Talking about a little bit your product vision and market positioning. What's broken in current ERP and accounting software?
It's so goddamn hard to use. That's it. That's it.
Yeah, I have to admit I've been working for quite some consultancies in the past, and I'm dramatized by SAP.
Yeah. Yeah, that is wow. Yes, that's a big one. That's a big one. And Yes, if you have a gazillion bucks lying around or you're a big company, you can pay a consultant to run SAP for you and customize it for you. It's still going to be hard to use, but you're going to have a full team of people doing it. But when you're a freelancer and you need to be looking at your numbers, right now there's not many things out there that can work for you in Switzerland. In Europe, there are good initiatives. In the States, fantastic software being created. But here in Switzerland, firsthand, I can tell it's very hard to find one that is easy to use and that you prefer to use the software rather than doing your invoices on Word or on Excel. Yeah. So I think that's an issue. And then even if you're using a software and you're doing it yourself, then you need to go into an accounting firm and pay a small fortune to do your taxes and run your books. So that's quite inefficient. We believe that is quite inefficient. Yeah.
Mhm. Also, here in Germany, you have the duty by now to have electronic invoicing. Also, depending on how and where you invoice, also electronic invoicing, machine readability, and so on and so forth. So you cannot use any software. Talking about any software, how do you guys, Sequence ERP, stand out from competitors like Sage, Xero, or QuickBooks?
Well, we are going in the direction of becoming a full stack company. Okay. Sage, Xero, and QuickBooks are fantastic pieces of software. I cannot say it again. I cannot say it enough. They're very good softwares. You may want to run QuickBooks. Now, QuickBooks in Switzerland, you cannot be running it. Sage, you can, but then the adaptation is going to be hard. Share is the same. So you're going to have a hard time getting those to work in the Swiss market out of the bat. Now, I said we want to become a full stack company, and that's where we're really seeing us in 2-3 years. Accounting software is hard to use. Accountants, have a lot of manual work. Our mission is to blend both into an AI operating system where SMEs can run their books by simply uploading documents, and the software does the rest with very minimal human interaction. I don't think any of these guys are going in this direction. We certainly are. And if I may, just a little scoop for the guys that are listening us out there. It's not yet public, but 3 weeks ago we got a license from FINMA to be a 1B light bank or a fintech company, which means that by the end of the year we will be able to open multi-currency accounts and give cards to Sequence users. And that means that as an SME, you're going to have in the same platform your bank, your accountant, and the software, all included and all built on AI.
That is actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
Exclusive announcement here on Startuprad.io. Pretty cool. For our audience, because we've been talking about accounting systems and they are not, let's say, the most intuitive to use most of the time. I was wondering, what is the most frustrating software our audience has ever used to work at, or you could never get to work? How would you redesign it? Actually, I have an admission to make, Blas. For me, it was a kind of printer software. Not going to tell the name of the company who produced it, but it's now 2 years. About a dozen friends who some of them studied computer science, master's,
Yeah.
PhD degrees, and nobody could get it running. Anyway, let's talk a little bit about your growth strategy and GTM. How did you acquire your first external customers?
Yeah, going to the street, outbound, pure outbound, reaching out to people. So the founders of Sequence, they own accounting firms. So the first clients that we brought in actually are their clients, obviously. And then we went out there into the market with outbound. We started emailing people, calling people, asking about their issues, asking about the pain points, understanding what they needed. And once the answer to what they needed was what we had, then it kind of fell into place.
Mm-hmm. What is your current go-to-market strategy and how is it evolving?
Our current go-to-market strategy, and I wish I could call Mercedes, our Chief Product and Growth Officer, here into the call to get that one. It's a blend of inbound and outbound sales. Okay, we do a lot of inbound generation that then led outbound contacts, and we do as well outbound contacts. So we have cold calling people. We love cold calling. We're hard call salespeople. So we pick up the phone and start calling people and asking about their pains and asking about their day to day and what works and what doesn't work on their day. And as I said, if one of their pains is something that we can give a solution to, then hey, that's fantastic. And if it's not, then we try always to give a solution with other products out there. And then on the inbound side, we run ads, a lot of ads, content strategy, LinkedIn content, and then yeah, it's kind of a blend. It evolves constantly. We do a lot of iteration. So we have a marketing team that they iterate every month. So on a rolling basis, we plan, we execute, we analyze, we improve, we repeat. We go on and on and on and on. Things that work, we keep them. Things that don't work, we change them, or we just remove them.
Mm-hmm. So, sounds like a steady improvement cycle. We'll be back with some insights about fundraising, investor relations, team and culture, vision and future outlook after the small ad break. Welcome back to us. You're a serial entrepreneur currently leading a SaaS accounting software from Switzerland. You've done a lot in the past, and we talked about this already. Let's go a little bit into fundraising and investor relations. You've raised VC before. What's your best tip for early stage founders to prepare for SaaS fundraising rounds?
Some investors out there are going to kill me, but don't raise. Bootstrap as much as you can, get your metrics in place, and then raise. Europe, and especially Switzerland, is very different to the States. In the States, you can definitely go out and raise with a fantastic plan. In Europe, you got to have some metrics locked in. And in Switzerland, those metrics need to be even better. Either you have a successful background behind you and you know what to do, or if it is the first time, you really need to get those metrics locked in so you can lead the conversations with, okay, this is our metrics. This is what we're capable of doing. Now, this is what we want to get. And to do that, we not only need cash, which we're raising right now, but we also need a partnership that is going to enable us to get there. And always look for that smart money. Don't only look for the cash. Cash only is not going to get you as far as cash plus partnership plus help. Look for those investors that really believe in your business and that they're going to help you get and fulfill that vision that you together with them have for your business.
Mm-hmm. You talked about metrics. I was wondering what traction metrics or storytelling techniques helped you win over investors for Sequence. I would assume right now important roles play number of paying customers, customer acquisition costs, customer lifetime value. So basically the VCs can make a calculation. If we invest X, we should get Y, something like that.
Exactly. So revenue growth, very important both. Out of that revenue, what's recurring and what's not recurring? And on that growth, what kind of historic can you show? Have you been growing double digits every month? Is there any spike? Why not? Cost of acquisition, obviously, and lifetime value of your clients. If you know your lifetime value, then you must know your churn. That's very important to know your churn. And if you're in SaaS, daily active users and monthly active users may be very interesting. Now, on top of that, if you are on AI and you are on agents, if you are on human in the loop agents, that most of them are right now, then you need to have your first pass through rate. You need to understand how many of the proposals that your agents are making are right from the bat and they are accepted, how many are slightly modified, how many are rejected. And if you're an autonomous agent, what's the accuracy of those agents? At the end of the day, a lot of people are kind of selling AI right now, but they don't include any AI metrics in their deck, which is kind of crazy, you know. So I think that's very important right now. If you are an AI, if not, just skip that stuff.
I was wondering from my experience, I was in capital markets during Madoff happened, and the Madoff feeder funds have been UCITS entities, headquartered in Luxembourg. And so basically a lot of those companies said, yeah, would have never happened to us, but you have so much straight to processing, automated processing at the time in the funds that basically one UCITS fund would have been treated like another UCITS fund. Do you see any potential for future scammers and how to prevent it with the application of a lot of AI agents in accounting and bookkeeping?
Definitely, there is a risk in that, of course. In the same way that there was a risk when computers came and invoices started to be done by hand, and everybody started to do them, you know, on a computer. There is risk, and it is the responsibility. It's a shared responsibility to avoid, to stop that from happening. But yeah, of course, there is a risk. I've seen articles going around LinkedIn of people that they can create tickets, expense tickets, just asking to ChatGPT to do that. So there's definitely going to be scammers out there. Definitely.
Mm-hmm. Going back to my last question about VC, in your experience, what are VCs really looking for in the next generation of SaaS platforms?
I think we should ask that to VCs. No, listen, that's a great question, Joe. I hope they're looking stuff like Sequence. To be honest, what I'm reading right now is that they're looking for full stack companies, companies that can replace verticals on its own. There's no longer such thing as the niche SaaS. Like you can just do one thing. Like what they're looking for right now is the companies that they can replace a whole vertical. It was Y Combinator saying this a month and a half ago. They're right now looking into that kind of traction and interaction and automation from AI that can come in and say, okay, this has been done manually for years. Now, thanks to AI, can be almost fully automated. So I think that's really what they're looking for. These companies that can kind of revolutionize how the status quo is and how human labor is being done into automation.
Mm-hmm. Talked about labor here, team and culture. What values define the Sequence team? How do they guide hiring and leadership?
In hard work, we believe. In hard work, we believe. We have all our jumpers are marked in hard work, we believe. And when you come to our digital office, it's the first sentence that you're going to find. And it's not me who said it, but that's really us. We are a team of people that are very unconventional. We believe that there is a better way, and we always ask the best of ourselves. And that's the kind of person that comes in and works with us. You have to be extremely curious. You have to be eager to learn. You have to be eager to share, to give feedback, and to receive it. And when we hire someone, one of the things we tell them is, look, when you come into Sequence, you're going to be facing issues and challenges that you've never faced in your life, and that's totally okay. What is going to be the difference is that you are capable of finding the right tools and the solution and learning new things that allow you to do the best that you can your work. None of us knew how to build a bank, yet here we are building a bank all together. None of us knew how to build an accounting software, yet here we are changing how accounting is done thanks to artificial intelligence. And most certainly, none of us knew anything about AI 4 years ago. And here we are using it on our day-to-day basis. And that's because we have that knowledge hunger, continuous drive to learn more and to get better every single day. And that's the people that they stick with our company. The rest, they don't make it past month one.
Mm-hmm. Talked about not making past 1 month. How do you build high-performing startup teams and maintain them?
That's a great question. I don't know. I'm trying to do my best on that point. Maybe the team is the best person is the best one to answer to that question, whether if I'm doing a good job or not. But for me, it's about giving a place where the team can be the best out of them, giving them accountability, delegate effectively, and giving them, a space where they can learn, they can grow, they can shine, and where their work really impact the company itself. At Sequence, we're not only looking at the team as individuals that they come in and do a work and then they leave. We look at the full lives that they have. We finance the gym. We have a corporate psychologist. We have a mental and performance coach. We just hired a corporate hypnotherapist, so they can also go into that. We help them with private insurance. We're just trying to give them the best possible scenario so they can do what they love what to do. They if one of the people in the team wakes up in the morning and says, fuck, I don't want to work in the morning, that's a failure from leadership, because we didn't give them enough room and enough place to shine and to do what they love. They need to really do what they love. Yeah. Now, if we gotta maintain them, then they gotta get a piece of the cake. That's always very very classical. But it's just an ongoing challenge. It has to be an ongoing challenge. We have to keep those minds, myself as well. We have to keep those minds going and learning and growing, and impacting the world every day. What do you think, Joe? I'm sure you've talked with a lot of entrepreneurs out there. How do you think that you can keep high performing teams? I would love to have your input on that one, so the people out there can hear what you think from all your conversations that you had.
Turning the tables here. Okay. Oh, well, I think at first it's important to get the best people, putting a lot of effort into acquiring talent. Secondly, I've just talked with Christian Conrad about how to build and maintain a corporate culture. And one of the best approaches I've seen from him, he talked about giving 100% trust first, and then if the person doesn't use the trust responsibly, he'll deduct. And that was actually a really amazing approach that I've seen there. Plus, it's very, very difficult to get really talented people. I've been talking to a lot of people about hiring headhunters and so on and so forth. And I do believe, especially like the first dozen people you hire from your startup, they make an essential impact on the growth, on the survival, on the bare survival of the company.
Yeah, crazy. I agree with you 100%. Thank you for sharing, Joe.
Totally my pleasure. Now it's up for you to share again vision and future outlook. Where do you see Sequence and the industry heading over the next 5 years?
Yes, we see Sequence as an AI operative system for small and medium businesses, where they can do banking, run the company, and accounting all at the same time. Right now, if you look at SMEs and freelancers, they all have three main points. The first one is you need an accountant. You don't want to do the books yourself. If you do them yourself, it's hard and it takes time. And if you get someone to do them for you, it's expensive and it's slow. So that's like a compulsory pain that you have to have. Okay, fine. Then you need to have a bank, but the bank doesn't care about you. And the bank at some point may decide that the relationship with you is no longer profitable for them. So you may find yourself not having a bank. And the third one is that you need to look to your cash flow. But to look to your cash flow and to know how much money you are owed and how much money you owe, you need to have a software. And using that software, as we said earlier before, is very hard and very time consuming. And you didn't launch a company to do that stuff. We believe that Sequence can come in and replace those three into one only software that automates across the whole of them, thanks to the power of AI. So we see ourselves in 5 years, in 3 years even, by the end of next year, by the end of 2026, already automating the work of the accountant almost completely by allowing people to open accounts with us and by having a software that is already on the market that is so damn easy to use that when you go into other software, you just wish you never left Sequence. And that's where we see us.
Already kind of takes my next question away. What trends or AI you believe will redefine SaaS and accounting software by 2030? My understanding is most of the stuff that right now accountants do will be automated with AI agents.
Yes. I believe we are seeing a change similar to the Industrial Revolution. In the Industrial Revolution, machines helped humans to do stuff, and humans were focused on more, value generating positions. And I think thanks to AI, in some positions, we're going to have the same things. So accountants are going to be focusing on generating value for the clients and not on number crunching on a screen. Number crunching on a screen is not fun for the accountant, and it's not efficient for the client, because it's a high cost that is going nowhere. So I believe that is definitely going to be automated, and accountants are going to be focusing on added value services. Yeah, definitely.
Do I interpret this right that you say the introduction of AI agents will have for white collar workers the same effect as the Industrial Revolution had for blue collar workers?
You tell me why not, Joe.
Interesting thought. I need to think a little bit about it, but it's definitely an interesting thought. Never thought about that this way. We're already a little bit into reflection. What is the hardest decision you've had to make on this journey?
I think one of the hardest ones was closing one of the startups I was running here in Switzerland before taking over Sequence. It was a very hard startup. I invested a lot of capital myself, but I proposed the startup to some family members and some friends. And as much as I tried to make it work, I couldn't. I tried to pivot all that I could. And the day I took the decision and having to make that call to that people and saying, I am so deeply sorry, I just couldn't make it work. That was a very hard moment. That decision was extremely hard. And at some point I had to do it because it was dragging everything and everyone down with it. And the unit economics were not there. As much as we were increasing sales, the costs were growing, and we could never reach profitability. And the moment we realized that, we tried to do all that we could, but deciding to close that company was one of the hardest decisions I ever had to make.
Mm-hmm. If you could redo just one thing as a founder, what would it be?
I would have bought Bitcoin at 1 cent. I would have bought Bitcoin at 1 cent or at €1. The rest of the things, all the mistakes that I've done as a founder, I would redo them the same. They are what I am right now, and I am grateful for all those mistakes and for all those failures, no matter how hard they have been. Every one of them has been a teaching moment. I wouldn't have done things different because I wouldn't have learned in the same way. Yes, they might have led to different outcomes, but I don't know that. So honestly, if I could relive it again, I would go all over again in the same way. The only thing I would do is buy Bitcoin when it cost 1 cent. So, money wouldn't be an issue right now. Uh, in that case, yeah.
I know where you're going with that. Where can people follow you and learn more about Sequence?
Yeah, so I am not a believer of Instagram. So I'm not on Instagram. There is an account of my name, but I don't have it on my phone and I never logged in. So Instagram is not a good place. Neither is Facebook. Sorry, that's going to be LinkedIn. On LinkedIn, people can find me. Definitely. It's Blas Pegenaute. That's very difficult to say, but I'm sure we can pop it down there on the screen. And then the company, you can definitely follow them on LinkedIn, Sequence ERP. Many great things are being announced there. We have a blog, fantastic blog if you're into business. I like to share a lot of stuff on my parkour and everything that I've done. And the team at Sequence also, they share a lot of stuff on LinkedIn. They're very active. So I think LinkedIn is our network. Yeah.
We'll definitely link that. And for our audience, I was wondering what questions you would have asked Blas. Drop it in the comments below and we might ask him next time. Thank you very much, Blas. It was a pleasure talking to you. Guys out there, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and review. This is Joe from Startuprad.io. See you next time.
Thank you, Joe. It was a pleasure being here. Very much thank you for having me.
Pleasure was all mine. Thank you.
Thanks.
That's all, folks. Find more news, streams, events, and interviews at www.startuprad.io. Remember, sharing is caring.